Hi there, welcome back to Building an iOS App with C#. This is Module 4, Video 9. This is the last video in this module, and in it we are going to design and build our system notification service. Now this service is a little bit different to the other ones because it's going to be very specific to iOS in that we're going to hook into this dynamic type changed notification, which if you're not familiar with it, let me just start up the simulator here. So in iOS, if you go to the settings and then go general accessibility, larger text, you can actually slide this slider here to change kind of the base text size that you want in your application. Obviously applications can choose to ignore this, but in our case we want to hook into this notification and adjust our text sizes accordingly. So as I was saying, that is a very iOS specific thing. I'm not familiar with Android enough to know whether there's something akin to it on Android. If there is, and I do an Android version of this, I will just refactor this service. But for now, what we're going to do is just stick everything, both the contract and the implementation, in our iOS services assembly. Now I'm calling it system notifications, even though we're only going to hook into the one notification at this point. We may want to hook into some other ones later. That's why I've kind of got the generic service name. Yeah, maybe we'll rename it at some point. We'll see. But all we need here is to know when the dynamic type is changed. If you've not seen this unit thing before, it's a functional programming concept that is implemented inside System Reactive. So the Reactive extensions provides this unit, and it's just a value that there's only one instance of that value ever. It just represents nothing or the absence of a value. So in other words, whenever this dynamic type changed observable ticks, it's always going to be the same unit, but it at least tells us that the dynamic type has changed. We don't need any extra information, which is why we're just using unit. Okay, so let's add the implementation. Right, so what we need to do in order to hook into the notification, we need to use this NS notification center, which we saw when we did the iCloud integration. We used this type as well there. So in this case, we're adding an observer for the content size category change notification. What a mouthful. And when we're notified of that, let's just execute a content size category changed method. And as we saw, that will receive an NS notification object. Now we're trying to translate this into our observable here, so let's create a subject of unit. Okay, so in our constructor we'll create that and just need to return it here. And here we need to tick it, so we need to just on next unit default So that's cool. But we do need to make sure we clean up after ourselves. So let's use our disposable base class. And we need to dispose of that, but we also need to unhook our notification. And it looks like it's just easiest to hold on to this observer object that we will get back from add observer. So content size category changed observer. Equals that. And that should always be set, but let's just be extra certain. So that should be enough. Let me hack in some code into our main UI project just to see if we get notified when we change the dynamic type. Oops, I've actually accidentally renamed this singular instead of plural. Right. And I believe we need to add reactive reactive extensions to our UI project. Okay. So when we get notified, let's just stick a message in the output window here. System diagnostics debug, right line. Okay, so let's execute that in the simulator. If we go to our settings and we adjust this, we won't see any output immediately because our app is suspended. But when we switch back to our app, this one's the test project. It's a bit confusing because they look the same, but this one's our actual app. And you can see here down the bottom, dynamic type size changed. So we are being notified as expected. So that is it for the system notification service. And that is it for this module. So I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.